happening? We trapping, we trapping. Shout out to everybody rocking, man. Give me a one if everything sounds good. Give me a one if everything sounds lovely. Let me know. Let me know. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it. What's happening? What's happening? We trapping, we trapping. Yes, sir. Man, oh man. It is a Friday. Thank God it is Friday. And, you know, unfortunately, it will be no Cowboys football this weekend. The first weekend. You know? The first weekend with no Cowboys football. Good grief. You know what I mean? That like a chef for the squad. It will not charge a card. We got some things to talk about as a family. While we trying to get this thing right, man. We trying to get our act together. And you know, put a real team out there on display next time. So we can actually be competitive. You know what I mean? But first and foremost, we gotta make sure them haters doing the most. What they was put on God's green earth to do. And you already knew that's hate, man. Let's get this trap jump around the corner, man. Shout out to everybody rocking with your boy. Let's get it. Thank God it's Friday. Yeah. Let's go. Hit that like a shot.
I can't see a thing, all this money in my face. Hey. I just blew a bag, ran it back the same day. Hey. Ain't no looking back, came a long way. Hey. I know that they mad, but just let them hate. Hey. That what make them hate. That what make them hate. Hey. And we just getting cake and they just in the way. Hey. That what make them hate. That what make them hate. Hey. Cause we just getting cake and they just in the way. Hey. Landlord is showing how to ball, boy.
Go.
You ain't even on the team, you just
gotta
a ball,
figure this
boy.
out, though.
Real high, used to run knockouts, but it's real now. Real fly. I probably average your career high. Be the one they hating on and probably wanna kill. When they got our own band, we hollin' a deal. Yeah. Long little CEO, CIP the dollar.
Let's go.
Good took my brother, that shit made me go harder. That shit turned me to a monster. Now I'm focused on the comma. Now I'ma run of them comma, the summer, run of them numbers. Yeah. I know that they hate the way a ball man, rockin' all this ball man, street made on the chain. I can't see a thing, all this money in my face. I just blew a bag, ran it back the same day. Ain't no looking back, we came a long way. Hey, I know that they mad, but just let them hate. Hey, that what make them hate. That what make them hate. Hey, and we just getting cake and they just in the way. Hey, that what make them hate. That what make them hate. Hey, cause we just getting cake and they just in the way. Hey.
Now you might think you at school or maybe even at home or watching me through a phone, but I promise you in the trap, sir.
Trap.
I promise.
Trap.
Make no mistake about it, man. Let me get my stuff together. Let me get some act right in this thing. I don't know why my comments ain't showing. Boom, there we go. All is well, all is well. But man, you know, it's been a lot of talk about your Dallas Cowboys out here in the internet, and we already know they gonna dog us out, they gonna do us dirty, you know, and for the most part, we deserve it, you know. But, you know, Mr. Michael Lombardi was cooking over there on 105.3 The Fan. You know, I had a link in the description. They had a good interview with him, and he was talking some interesting talking points about the Dallas Cowboys and about Big Mike and about Dak. He touched on pretty much everything, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciated the commentary. I appreciated what he was talking about because he made some good points. But, man, we got to talk about now, we sticking with Mike McCarthy. Of course, now we have no choice but to stick with Dak Prescott. He got us by the short and curlies, like I said before. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Even if you wanted to get rid of Dak, it's really no way to do it. Like HTM said, he's the most powerful man in Dallas right now because you can't trade him. You can't really cut him. It wouldn't make no sense. You owe him a whole lot of money for next year. Excuse me. And if you don't extend him, you will be pretty much like crippling yourself trying to get more players next year. Like, okay, listen, if we're not just gonna say, okay, we finna run with Trey Lance or somebody, if we ain't finna just say that, we need to really make sure we load up Dak Prescott with weapons. Because listen, it ain't about giving him the privilege to win. It's about the Cowboys winning. I don't care how easy it is for Dak. I don't care if he just handing the ball off 37 times a game and we win the Super Bowl. I wouldn't care. You know what I'm saying?
Trap.
I wouldn't care. That's not my concern because I just want to win. I want 6. I want the last result to be us holding up that Lombardi. So, hey, man, like I said on Bossland, I would rather this team to be like, man, I don't know, man, Dak ain't doing nothing. He got it so easy. Y'all got the best line. Y'all got the best tight end. Y'all got the best wide receivers. Y'all got this. Y'all got that. I wish we was able to have that discussion. I don't want to be hero Dak and try to pray he take us to the promised land. We gave him enough shots at that. And I don't think that's really logical for most players anyway. It's only a few handful of players who was capable of doing something even close to that. So a lot of people got this false narrative in their head that quarterback's just going to take you to the promised land, and that's just not true. Like, outside of Pat Mahomes, and he still had a solid top 10 defense when he did it. But outside of Pat, how many other quarterbacks is just taking you there and winning you Super Bowls like that? It ain't many of them. It ain't many of them. Stargaze in the building. She said, Landlord, that Michael Lombardi take opened my eyes all the way up. Yeah, it's a lot of. It was pretty greasy winning out. It was pretty interesting, man. We gonna get deep into it, man. We gonna take an in-depth look at it because he's not lying. It's a lot of stuff. He really don't tell too many lies when it comes to the Cowboys. I know he a Raider and he was with Al Davis and all of that, man, but he tells a lot of truths when it comes to the Cowboys, and it's well needed. Like, this is a time, like I said, this is Cowboys counseling, sir. Like, after your season end like that, like in the manner that nobody wanted it to, this is time for Cowboys counseling. Like, this is the doctor visit. This is when you need to hear the real, uncut, unadulterated truth in here, man. This what's the time. Trap. That's what time it is. Like, it's no time to sugarcoat. You know exactly what the team do at the end of the year. They have these same kind of conversations. And, hey, I wish I was a fly on the wall with some of these people. Because, hey, Mike McCarthy already talked about the exit interviews. He talked to the rookies. Then he talked to the veterans. Then he talked to the mid-level players and stuff like that. And then they evaluate what their year was. Shout out to Miss Queen for the $20 super. I appreciate you, man. She says, Landlord, we need to get Dan Quinn out of here, man. It's sad, Miss Queen, but we need to campaign for him to get the Seattle job. That's our only hope. Trap. I appreciate your contribution, Miss Queen. It goes a long way for keeping the lights on and supporting the trap. It's gonna be a long off season, man. So hey, long as y'all rocking with me and supporting your boy, man, I'll be here every day trying to show up and give y'all a show, man. That's how we do it. We held you down last season, and you know we're gonna continue to do what we do here. But man, we already know Dan. Look, I think Dan Quinn, it's finna be a quick story, quick analogy. Okay, listen. I think the whole time we've been getting mad at this football team from underperforming in the last few years, and most of the times when we lose to these good teams, the defense be the one laying the egg, y'all. That was an interesting stat that we came up with yesterday. I think that was courtesy of HTM Sports. You know, the number man, Mr. HTM Sports. He said he gave us a stat that we 3-9 when we don't get a turnover. Now listen, I know for a fact that I've came up here in front of y'all and showed y'all and told y'all that we cannot live off turnovers. Like, it looks so great when we get them, but we just can't live off of them, y'all. It's inconsistent. It's like trying to pay your rent with a parlay every month. You know what I'm saying? It's like depending on your parlay to pay your rent every month. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it really brought me into the mind like, man, we've been trying to figure out what our problem is in big games a whole lot of this time. And, you know, we take the Scooby-Doo mask off and it looked like it might be Dan Quinn. It reminds me, you know, I'm a coffee drinker. Y'all know every day I have my coffee with me. And it be seeming like my coffee cream will be disappearing way too quick. Like, I be like, why the hell I can't keep no coffee cream in here? Then one day I go up the stairs and I see my 8-year-old in there with a cup of milk, and then he pouring my creamer into the gosh darn milk. Trap. I said, boy, what the hell you doing? What you doing with my creamer? He says, I'm making special milk. What the fuck is special? Trap. Little dude already got a name for it, so that just right there let me know how long he been screwing over my creamer. And it's just like when I look at Dan Quinn's, like the whole time I look up and it's been him. Like, I'm not saying he's the only reason, but I'm talking about he's like the majority of the reason. It's like, bro, why you can't perform in big games, man? Why your defense do nothing in big games, and why we can't do nothing with turnovers? You want to know why? This a prime example why right here, sir. Listen to me. What do teams do in the playoffs? They do not turn the ball over, y'all. What do good teams do in the playoffs? What do good teams do in the playoffs? They do not turn the ball over. They make sure they don't turn the ball over, so you can't live off turnovers. One thing, these are two major flaws in DQ scheme. And Miss Queen got me going on the left. She made me do a detour on the show. But it's necessary. Okay, these are two major things that make us not effective in the playoffs. Okay, one, we living off turnovers. DQ is pretty much useless without turnovers, bro, if we think about it. Like, every game, don't it? Even the games that we have success and we blow teams out, the team still be moving the ball. Think about that. Excuse me. Think about that. The team always move the ball. We never get 3 and outs like that. We just end up ending some drives with some turnovers, and sometimes we might get a field goal here and there. It don't be like we just stopping stuff like 1 yard game, PBU and punt. That don't hardly ever happen with DQ defense when you think about it. It just be covered up with all these turnovers that we get. You can think about any team, bro. If we really think about this with any team, we hardly ever get 3 and outs. Somebody, HTM, anybody that can do it real quick. I don't know if my guy in the building, I just be calling on him like, you know what I'm saying, like he my assistant or something, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But, hey, anybody that can look this stat up for me, what is the Cowboys ranking in 3 and outs since DQ been involved, bro? Because, look, to be real, this been a bad defense before DQ. He kind of shifted the defense. So, the turnovers made us so much better to where it put Band-Aids on a lot of this stuff. And now the ugly scar is starting to show itself again. It's starting to bleed again. So now we got to take a big-time serious look at DQ, bro. Like, without turnovers, this defense is ineffective and it barely do anything. Like, let's just be real. And I'm not taking up for Dak, DeQuincy, before you get there. Dallas is the top 5 defense. We don't get stops. We don't get turnovers. I mean, we don't get 3 and outs. We don't do that. We get interceptions. We get fumbles. We barely get sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of stuff we don't really get. We barely stop teams, DeQuincy. Think about it. We barely stop teams. I don't remember teams planning on us that much. I bet money common sense, and I'm doing this off of retaining the information I got from the games. I'm not even thinking about, I haven't seen a stat. I just know that we barely make teams punt. And if they do punt, it don't be out there 3 and out. I guarantee you DQ one of the lowest teams in 3 and outs. I guarantee. And I'm just going off of what I've seen on film and what we usually do during the game. I can retain that type of information. So that's a big problem, man. If you ain't getting 3 and outs and you ain't getting stops and you don't get a turnover, let's see. He said, Landlord from Alabama, we ranked 21st in 3 and outs since 20.
Trap.
See, some stuff, shout out to Truth Only for that information, man, but some stuff, bro, when you really tapped in, when you dialed into this team, you don't have to see a stat. You don't have to see a stat. You know what's going on with your football team. You know we hardly ever make people punt the ball. You know that. We hardly ever get 3 and outs. We hardly ever do that. Most of the time when we even get a stop, a team will at least get a couple of first downs, then we make them stop. We don't get no 3 and outs. I told you, that's a big time mic drop right there, and I ain't even have to see no stat because I've been frustrated with my football team getting away with that, and then now in the playoffs, it don't work. But that's the one thing that gets you in trouble in the playoffs, right? You depending and living and dying off turnovers, and turnovers don't really happen like that in the playoffs when you're going up against these better teams because they way more conservative, and they going to make sure they don't turn the ball over if they're an actual good team. Okay, that's one big flaw right there. The other big flaw is he's using this big nickel package with all these DBs on the field and can't stop the run. Like
Trap.
Shout out to Darren Poser with the $5 super, man. I appreciate you. He said if a team punts on us, they fake punt and get the first down.
Trap.
You ain't lying.
Trap.
You ain't lying, bro. Like, we done had games where the team didn't punt. That Seattle game, they ain't even punt. Like, man, let me get off of this because Michael Lombardi, he gonna touch on a lot of that stuff. But y'all got me cooking already, bro. I'm mad and everything because now we really seeing, man, when you rip that Scooby-Doo mask off, I see Dan Quinn. And look, I promise you, I will not defend not one of these players. I got my own brand to protect. I'm not finna protect their brand. These dudes barely even give us an interview, you know? I'm not finna protect none of these dudes' brand, but I will say this. Think about this. Ain't no way you could tell me that these players ain't just, you know what I'm saying, making up. These stats is real, like they really legitimate stats right here, man. You can't deny this stuff. Like, we know what our defense does on a day-to-day. We know what it do. We know. Shout out to B-Bird with the 199. He says 6 of the top 8 salaries are on offense. That's a good one right there, too. That says a lot, B-Bird, because you get what you pay for, right? That says a lot. Hey, what I said on my video where I said how you can win in 2024. If you ain't seen that, go check it out, man. I need more support on my videos. I'm just being honest. You know, my videos be lacking. But being real, though, like, it's a lot of defensive tackles that's available in this 2024 class, B-Bird. I ain't talking about no draft either. I'm talking about proven people. They available. So all we got to do is sign them. You ain't even got to trade nobody. All you got to do is write the check, Jerry. And that can instantly impact and fix your defense. All you got to do is sign them and write a check. It's other people like Bobby Wagner and other linebackers out here who all you got to do is sign them and write the check. Now, automatically, your run defense didn't improve. So, let's talk about it, man. Let's get into it, man. Was that a bird or a plane? What was it? I'm not sure. Oh. It's nefarious news, of course. That's what it is, man. Shout out to everybody out here. Right. Get into it, man. Trap topics of the day. Okay. Let's get into it. We got Michael Lombardi on 105.3 The Fan. The link will be in the description.
I'm not as old as Jerry, but as you get older, you don't really like the change. You kind of like your routine, your structure, your kind of environment. And I think everybody thinks Jerry at 83 is in a sense of desperation. I want to win. You know, time's running out on me. And I thought the other way completely, because when you're older, you don't want as much change. And so what I feel like Jerry sat down and said, look, you know, this coach has won. You know, he's won more games than any coach. He's got the best winning percentage of any Cowboy coach. He's been to the playoffs 3 years that he's been here. You know, he's got a record similar to John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh's 160-99, one Super Bowl, 11-9 playoff wins. You know, McCarthy's 167-102, 11-11 with one Super Bowl win. He's better than Sean Payton. He's slightly better. He's not as good as Tomlin in terms of wins. He's 6 wins behind Tomlin, but Tomlin's playoff record is two games below 500. So he's sitting here with a coach who can stack up, And he's saying, like, why am I going to listen to all these people that want me? My quarterback had one of his best seasons. After all of you screamed, all of you, now stand up and take accountability for this. Because when Kellen Moore left, the whole Metroplex was in tears.
Wait a minute, Mr. Michael. The Metroplex, but not the trap, sir.
Trap.
Not the trap.
Trap.
He making a good case for some of the reasons that Mike McCarthy stayed here. And, you know, you really can't argue that when you put his resume up against some of the other resumes of the coaches. Hey, he hashed out a pretty decent career, man. Mike is not a bad coach. But I'm still not opposed to other people saying that, hey, man, we just need a new voice. Hey, man, we need a sterner situation. Hey, man, we need more structure. I ain't arguing with that either. So, but I do see some legitimate, tangible reasons why you do keep Mike. If you're not finna blow everything up, you might as well keep Mike because he gave you the best version of Dak Prescott you've seen so far. So let's get
all of you were, including you two, right?
Yep.
You guys, I had to talk you off the ledge on that one, right? Like you were all in tears. You were losing the guru of gurus. You were losing joystick, and you were going to completely the meltdown. That this was the worst play caller in the history of football.
I say that though. One thing I will say, the nation kind of was saying that Mike wasn't good. Now I ain't gonna say that everybody was saying that they was. We wasn't sad about Kellen Moore leaving. Like, if you tapped into the Cowboy, you know, content creation circle, you know, out here in these trenches, nobody was upset about Kellen for real. So, but I will say a lot of people was super down on Mike and his play calling and what he could do with the offense. Now, that remains true. So, I think a lot of people was kind of wrong on that. We didn't win the Super Bowl, but Mike did do his thing with that.
And yet he came out and had the best offense you've had in 3 years.
Yes.
So, like, Jerry's got that. So, now, I thought they did a horrible job preparing the team for the Packer game. Granted,
Facts.
They weren't ready. I think they didn't understand how good the Packers were. I think they got taken off guard. I think the defense was as much to blame. But I think, to me, there's some things that are really good at what they've done. And so when you're 83 years old, you'd rather repair than replace.
Trap.
Hey, man, Michael Lombardi is, if he listening, man, if we could get him out here, bro, listen. He part of the community. Because he wasn't scared to talk about Kellen Moore either. He wasn't scared. He talked about Kellen Moore with the number one offense just like we did. He went scared. So I rocks with him, man. Continue, Mr. Michael.
Jerry's challenge, along with Steven and Will McClay, is we got to figure out where we are. One big misconception is they didn't underachieve. This is not a talented team. I mean, they've got some really talented players. But when they go on the road, their offensive line gets exposed, right? The right tackle has a tough time blocking.
Action cooking. Appreciate you, man. He said everybody love a comfort zone, but nothing grows there. Ooh. Hey, you can't get better. You can't do greater things outside your comfort zone. Like, you can't just be great in one box, you know. A plant can't grow till its fullest potential if it's inside of a box. So, hey, that's dope right there.
Smith, the left tackle's hurt all the time, not always playing well, right? They really missed another back to go along. Pollard was not the same player this year off the injury that he was last year.
Yep.
Fact.
Yep.
Lamb's tremendous. Okay, so there's some problems there. Defensively, they didn't have any linebackers, right? They lose their best cover guy. Gilmore's not the same player. Bland can intercept passes. He's just not a very good man-to-man player.
Now, I semi-disagree with that, but I can't say look, from some of the games that you seen him go up against top-tier receivers, you can't really just say he's absolutely wrong either. But, you know, my personal opinion, I think Bland can cover. But, hey, he's cooking right now.
So, like, tell me why they're so talented. I mean, so I think, to me, the fans have this expectation when the reality is something different. And I think Jerry did the right thing. Now, you know, he's going to have to repair some things. There's no question. But to change, going back to 83 and changing, it's hard. And so he brings in a coach like Bill, who I love tremendously, who is the best coach I've ever been around. But Bill's going to want to do things a lot differently than they do them now in Dallas. And maybe that's not the right thing for them to currently.
That's a great talent.
Man, did you hear that talent, Fallacy?
That's something we kind of touched on earlier today. Why then is the common perception that the talent on this team is very, very good? Where is the sort of discrepancy with 12-win record?
Answer that with,
yes.
Well, I mean, they won games. There's no question, you know. But look, did you see what J.J. Watt said on McAfee's show the other day, where he said that, you know, he's been in meetings where, you know, they put the Pro Football Focus grade up there and the coaches laugh at it?
Yeah.
Trap.
Hey, man, man, you can't go off of just these PFF grades and stuff like that, man. You just can't go off of it. You got to really look at the film. That's why I never take stats alone. I have to make sure I got context with the stats, and I apply stats and see if it supports what I'm seeing on film. That's the only way I do it. Or I take a grade and see if it supports what I'm doing on the field. Like, the numbers alone, they could be misleading, y'all. I'm telling you straight up. Numbers alone could be misleading.
I think there's a misconception that first of all, we're not educating the fans on the game itself. You know, everybody's great. We're all going to Dairy Queen after the game. Everybody's wonderful. There's nobody bad. Everything's just tremendous. Like, at some point, don't we get some kind of critique, some analyst? I mean, Jonathan Hankins was the Raiders didn't want him. Now, okay, he helps them. You know, Maisie Smith hasn't come through, really. I mean, maybe he will next year. But when you break down their team, man for man, if they were so dominant, why did they give up 35 points to Seattle?
Yikes. Now, once again, you know, we don't just go with the flow. I do like Jonathan Hankins, but can we say he's a dominant player or he's a premier defensive tackle in this league? I wouldn't be able to say that. And then he did say Maisie Smith, like, we know we didn't get what we needed from Maisie Smith. That was an L that the whole organization, the whole fan base took right now this year. Because, listen, we're not talking about the future, y'all. This window is closing. So we're not talking about the future. That's why I really wasn't a big fan of the draft this year, because it seemed like it was all future. We wanted people that can help this team right now, impact, day one impact. That's not what we got. So let's continue, man.
Right? You know, so, like, to me, like, you have to be the hardest thing to do in sports. And this goes back to the great Al Davis. When I used to get on the team airplane, after a win or a loss, I had to walk over to him.
Let's get the
and he would
lights
be
up,
sitting
people,
there.
please.
And he'd say, do you know why we won today? Or do you know why the F we lost today? And if I gave him a bad answer, I would get destroyed. And if you can't figure out why you win and why you lose, then you're in trouble. And most fans think, well, we lost because McCarthy's a bad coach. I don't think that. I think McCarthy could use some help in some areas. There's no question. We all could. Nobody's perfect. But that's not the reason they lost. I think there's other layers to this.
I agree.
You see, what's going on in the league right now is...
He finna talk about how the NFLPA that made all these rules that it kind of hindered some of the progression in the players, like game to game. Like, they can't even practice but only so many times. Like, they only can do real hitting only so many times. Like, that stuff will soften up the game, and you know, you practice, you play like you practice, believe it or not.
Head coach doesn't necessarily have complete control over how he practices his team. The head coach doesn't have complete control over driving it and attention to detail, right? We have become a league of, well, everybody, you know, we don't want to hold everybody accountable. We don't want to make everybody upset. And if you do, then the players complain, right? I mean, and so this is where we are. I was talking to a former head coach the other day, and we were both, you know, like, let me say this very clearly. To win a championship today is the same formula to win a championship 40 years ago. It takes accountability. It takes attention to detail. It takes discipline. It takes buy-in from the players. But when you have a lot of people meddling and you have an analytics people coming in and say, well, we need to rest the players today. We need to take the day off. You know, we can't do this. And you have a strength and condition. We don't want to work them too hard. We don't want to do this. All of a sudden, rules become lax.
You got all these people meddling. And did you hear what all these people he said? Let's bring it back.
A little off. You know, we can't do this. And you have a strength and condition. We don't want to work them too hard. We don't want to do this. All of a sudden, rules today is the same formula to win a championship 40 years ago. It takes accountability. It takes attention to detail. It takes discipline. It takes buy-in from the players. But when you have a lot of people meddling and you have an analytics people coming in and say, well, we need to rest the players today. We need to take the day off. You know, we can't do this. And you have a strength and condition. We don't want to work them too hard. We don't want to do this. All of a sudden, rules become lax.
Did you hear him say, you got strength and conditioning coaches coming in here. You got analytic people coming in here in the coach's head. You got the coaches. And then customized special to the Dallas Cowboys, you got Jerry too, God.
Trap.
That's a lot of melody when you think about it, right? That's a lot of voices in your head. You know what I'm saying? Your coach telling you one thing, the analytic man just said, hey man, you need to slow down. You high on your mileage today. Like, all of this crazy stuff that got involved in sports, it is kind of, you know, messing up the game to a certain degree, man. We didn't know how many miles we ran in practice. We just ran the goddamn mile.
Trap.
We didn't know how many, you know what I'm saying, how many reps we did and what the GPS said. We just ran. And then, you know what I'm saying, you felt lightheaded, you need to sit down for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's just like that. You get hit, we probably was crazy. That's probably why half of us kind of crazy now, because I'm sure we was getting concussions and everything and just getting back up and lining back up, playing football again. You know? So, hey, but that is it's pros and cons to everything. But listen, it was just a different game, man, and now it done softened up. But I won't use that as an excuse, because that's the whole league. That's league-wide. But he wasn't just talking about Mike McCarthy on that, though. He actually talked about Philly with that, too.
Things become a little bit lesser. And I don't disagree with your criticism that the attention to detail is missing. But sometimes I think it could be the structure of the organization as much as it is the head coach. Now, if Bill walked in there, Bill's not going to let the personnel, he's not going to let the analytical guys say, well, we need to rest the players. Philadelphia, their strength, they have.
Don't that sound like we needed Bill in here? Bill telling people no off the bat. Don't that sound like we needed Bill in here, y'all? Don't that sound like we needed Bill in here? He said Bill ain't finna let him tell him. No, it ain't time to rest. It's time to work. I love it. We should have got Bill. Shout out to Coach Marv with the $10 super. He says, if the Cowboys so sure about Mike McCarthy and winning the Super Bowl winning coach, take paid $4 million a year, the second lowest in the NFL. Wait a minute. The second lowest in the NFL, $10 billion company with $4 million coach. Damn. What did he say, Don? It makes $7 million. What you mean? You mean Dan Quinn, maybe, coach? You kind of had some errors in there, so I kind of got lost. But it says, if the Cowboys so sure about Mike McCarthy's Super Bowl winning coach, he's paid $4 million a year, the second lowest in the NFL. Don't sound like they believe in him. I think I made that out. Then you said a $10 billion company with a $4 million head coach makes $7 million. Okay, I think I made it out pretty decently. I don't know, coach. Put your corrections in the chat so I can make sure I got your message clear. But I appreciate your super, Coach Mob. Shout out to Walt Dog with the $5 super. He says, I would move Mike McCarthy to OC and hire Bill Belichick as the head coach, then move Al Harris to DC. That would be my change at the coaching staff. Walt Dog, the only thing is Mike McCarthy wouldn't take that type of demotion like that. Mike would rather walk out the door. So if you did that, I would have brought Bill in here, and I probably would have hired the 49ers passing game coordinator. Anybody got something to do with Shanahan or McVay or somebody like that, I'm willing to take a chance on them. That's just me as far as my offense go. I'm willing to see what happened. Either get the guy from Miami passing game coordinator, because the dude over there is from the Shanahan tree. I want that stuff to be easy for my offense. I want my offense to be easy. That's all I want. That's all I desire. My offense to be easy, and when we get into the playoff games and everything look hard. Don't every single yard look hard for the Cowboys in the playoffs? Outside of last year against the Bucs, every yard, every first down, we be up there biting our nails like, hope to God we can get a first down. It don't supposed to be like that, man. Other teams, they just playing normal football, just like they were playing all year. It feels way different for the Cowboys while we in the playoffs, man. But let's continue.
Different colors of when they're going to practice. They don't practice. That's the problem. They don't practice. They can't tackle. They're out of shape. They make mistakes because they're trying to rest their players to get ready for the game, when we know practice execution becomes...
Is a women's basketball head coach or something? You lost me on that one, so my bad. Okay, thank you, Miss. You got to support. I was lost.
Reality.
Where are you on Dak? Do you consider him someone that is a championship caliber player? Would you sign him to an extension or let him play out the final year?
Look, I think Dak's a good player.
So your point was Don Staley makes more than Mike McCarthy. Man.
Trap.
You know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but yeah, I got you, coach. If that's the point that you was making, that's crazy. That's crazy. Mike only making $4 million a year? Sheesh. Hey, I don't know, Jerry. Do it. Hey, coach, to me, that sound like they just looking for purgatory then, right? That sound like they just want to stay relevant and keep selling tickets to me, right, Coach? We'll see. We'll see. All we can do is hope at this point. That's all we can do is hope, man. It's sad. That's why I'm not fully believing in Mike McCarthy no more. That's why I just said, hey, load them up, give them weapons. That's the best we can do. I'm trying to have this team loaded up. So even if Mike McCarthy and them ain't that good, the talent will be so good that we still should get over the hump. So I'm trying to load this team all the way up, man.
Player, I think the system has allowed Dak to make a lot of money, and that's not Dak's fault, right? Because the fundamental question is, if we don't have him, what are we going to do, right? Where are we if we don't have him? And if you don't draft one every year and prepare yourself to say no to a contract, he's got you trapped. It's checkmate. But here's what I've always said about Dak. I've always said this about Dak. If you're going to go and let him throw it 40 times, you're probably not going to be the best team you can be. See, I think the biggest mistake the Cowboys made, and Zeke wasn't a great player, but they didn't have a power back this year. Like, they needed another guy to go with Pollard. And then with Pollard not being the same guy, that really affected them. And so they were 8th in, passing attempts this year. 8th. Now, they had a lead in a lot of games. And if you're 8th in passing attempts, you're throwing it way too much.
Man.
Trap.
Y'all can't tell me Michael Lombardi ain't out here cooking. He said we was 8th in pass attempts, and we blew out a lot of teams. You remember we was bragging about fourth quarter had that. And we still 8th in passing attempts. Now, I don't got no problem with that. If you a passing team, you a passing team. But I'm just saying, like, if Dak is not the answer, we definitely shouldn't be passing that much. And that's probably a problem. So that's why we need to heavily invest in the run game. That was a great point by Michael Lombardi. Like, we can't even play around with that. We 8th and we blew out teams. Dak was sitting most of the time. Dak was sitting probably about a whole football game, 2 football games worth of time. And we still was 8th in passing attempts. That says a lot. That says a lot. And then if you featuring Dak Prescott and you don't really think, or you just gave up on the idea that he can just carry you to the Super Bowl, we definitely got to invest in the run game, man. We got to invest in the run game. And this is not me saying that Dak is just absolute trash. I'm not just saying that.
Trash.
I'm not saying he's trash. What I am saying, though, maybe he don't have the superpowers that I thought he had. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I thought he had these superpowers that was Thanos type, like he could snap and get us to where we need to go. But maybe he was more like, you know what I'm saying, one of the normal Avengers. Like, he was just a normal Avenger. He was like Iron Man or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he wasn't Thanos level where he can conquer the world with a snap of his finger. I'm not saying that. So that's not saying that he's sorry. The Avengers are still better than other people. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't think he's that level to carry the whole football team. And if that's the case, that's not the worst thing in the world. What it is, though, you got to make sure you put help around. Like, the one Avenger ain't going to save the world when he going up against Thanos, right? You need all of them. You know what I'm saying? So we need to get some more Avengers around. Iron Man, we need to go get Aquaman. We need to go get Captain America, Hulk. We need to get all them so we can actually have a chance to save this team, man. That's what I'm saying. So we definitely need to get more people around that. It don't have to be all on his shoulders. And that's really not a good idea for anybody, really. The Chiefs kind of seen that now. Like, they seem like they got a chance to keep going in the playoffs, but they kind of struggled this year. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills beat them because they just didn't have enough weapons. And they pulled it off last year, and it looked like they was paying for it this year. So I just don't think it's a good idea to make the degree of difficulty that high on no one player. I just don't think that's smart. So especially if he's not an all-time great like Pat and him and stuff. If he's not an all-time great, you need to put more stuff around him. Like I said, anybody outside of Pat Mahomes, I probably take their offense over ours. Like, almost. I'm almost this sure. Like, the Eagles, they got a better number 2 wide receiver than we do. Buffalo, they got a better, they got Stephon Diggs, and they got great tight end, and they got other weapons on that team. Good running back, better running back than we do. We seen that. You know what I'm saying? The Bengals, they got T. Higgins and Chase, what's his name? Jamar Chase. They got 2 top-tier receivers over there. Like, most of these other teams, they got enough weapons to make them that great. Like, they're not great alone, and they're not carrying their team all alone by themselves either. So we just got to make sure we weapon up Dak. We need to go get more ammo and just give it another run. If this is situation we got to be in, I need to load them up, bro. I need to go get me a top-tier running back. I need to go get me a top-tier wide receiver, and we need to load up and go to war. That's what it is.
Because usually the formula for great football is you throw it early to get the lead and you run it to keep the lead. So there's that. You start out in the first quarter with a lot of throws. Second quarter, it goes a little lower. Third quarter, it's lower. And fourth quarter, it's less. But they can't really run the ball or get control of the line of scrimmage, partly because their offensive line isn't nearly as good as it once was, okay? And they didn't have a back that really they could rely on. And so there was a little bit of an imbalance, so they worked around it. They threw bubbles, they threw the ball, but it's dangerous when you get into that situation and you're trying to offset a problem. It's a little bit like Curly in the boat. Remember in the Three Stooges? Curly's sitting in a boat. There's they make a hole in the boat, so Curly drills another hole in the boat to let the water from the one hole out. Like, you're just creating more problems when you do this. And so that's where it gets to. And I think that's ultimately one of the things. And so as you sit there as an executive, you're Will McClay, you got to decide, is it production? Is it a production problem, meaning do we not have the right players? Or is it a design problem, meaning we're not putting the players in the right spot? I think a lot of the issues with Dallas this year was labeled on production. There wasn't any good linebackers. The lack of depth within the team becomes a problem. So, you can't blame everything on McCarthy. Like, that's the thing. You just can't.
Mike.
Man, is that not what I said? I said personnel. So I'm not taking up for McCarthy either, but I said all the best thing we could do now is boost up our personnel. Personnel has to get better. That's all we saying. Cause he just named all the problems we had, and he was on point. So these are the type of people in the media that I respect, because we could tell Mike Lombardi actually been tapped into the team. He's actually been paying attention to what's going on. That's all I'm saying. You could tell he ain't just looking at other people's notes and then commenting on the Cowboys. He actually broke down almost every single problem that we have. That's all it is. But far as that go, man, like I said, we almost gotta sign him back. So it's really not no other option. He got us by the short and curlies, like I say. If you don't sign him, you owe him $60 million and tell him to have a nice day. If you do sign him, if you don't sign him, you owe him $60 million and you really can't afford to do nothing else with the team. So that's one option. If you do sign him, you'll be stuck with him for a few more years, but it'll open up some doors and open up some money so you can add to this team and have a real chance to actually win. So signing Dak is a necessity, y'all. I don't really see another way out of it. If you're not ready to rebuild, it is what it is. If you're not ready to rebuild, this is what we got. So if we're not going to rebuild, we need to reload. And that's just point blank period. We need to reload. We need to go get more weapons. We need to get a better wide receiver 2. We need to get a better wide receiver 3, or either elevate Jalen Tolbert to the wide receiver 3 position, but we definitely need a wide receiver 2. Brandon Cooks was not a real threat all year to me. And no matter who fault it was, maybe it was Dak's fault not being able to connect with him, or maybe it was Brandon Cooks' fault. Who knows? But all we talking about is the result. We didn't get a legitimate, dominant wide receiver 2 this year from nobody. So we need to go out there and try to correct that. We do. It shouldn't be CeeDee Lamb or Bus. And that's all I'm saying. So it looks like we got to extend this man, y'all. It looks like we got to. We got to. He got us in a bad situation between a rock and a hard place. So get all kind of weapons and make it easier for him. Find a way to maybe do him a couple of year contract and put some outs at the end, put some incentives in it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You win a playoff game, we give you an extra $2-3 million or something like that if you want to do it. But we just got to. It's no other way. It's no other way. It's no other way outside of that. You guys, the poet said number 3 is more than capable. I think so too. But all I'm saying is the results was he had 600 yards. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's the scheme fault, whether that's Mike McCarthy fault, Dak fault, Cook's fault, we just talking about the result. We talking about the what, not the why. You know what I'm saying? And Just imagine if he would have had a lot of yards, we wouldn't care why then. We'll just be like, Brandon Cooks balled out. I ain't talking about the what. I'm just talking about the I ain't talking about the why. I'm talking about the what. We need point blank period. We need top tier wide receiver 2 production from no matter who it comes from. And I don't necessarily blame Brandon Cooks either, but because he might go to another team and be phenomenal. He just didn't do that in Dallas. That's all I care about. You know what I'm saying? If he can't do it here, then you're not helping me. So it is what it is. I just need the production. But let's continue and look at some of this. And then when I was talking about wide receivers, I'm finna tell you why we gotta draft a wide receiver. We ain't gonna be able to pay a free agent wide receiver. We barely got money right now. So the best thing to do, if I was a GM, I'd just be going to find these top tier positions that you gonna have to break the bank on. I'd draft them like a wide receiver or a defensive end, any offensive lineman. I'd be drafting them guys opposed to trying to pay somebody in free agency. That's just better. Like, even if I miss, I'd be drafting them guys kind of frequently. I'd be drafting me a tackle to replace Tyron Smith this year. I'd be drafting me a center to replace Tyler Biadasz this year or last year. I'd just be taking swings at them big money positions almost every year. I just do that anyway. But now the reason we gotta get a wide receiver in free agency is because this wide receiver free agency is gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be way too expensive for us, and we know that. Okay, T. Higgins, he's the number 1 wide receiver free agent in 2024. It says injuries have happened almost the entire 2023 season for Higgins after his second consistent 1,000-yard season in 2022 with a receiving grade of 75.0. A franchise tag already seemed likely heading into the season, and with little new data and impact, the negotiation either way, that seems inevitable. The field stretching, jump ball receivers should be the chance to bounce back in 2024, along with the entire Bengals team following a disappointing season. The reason we just talking about him, he's a free agent, but they saying his contract projection, more than likely he'll get a franchise tag. Michael Pittman Jr. with the Indianapolis Colts, they pretty much saying the same thing about him. He's a young, talented receiver, but they projected him to get a franchise tag. So that's 2 of the top ones, and you don't even have a shot to get them. So, okay, let's continue. The second ones, okay, dang, that got cut off at the top. Shout out to Meek Fellas with the $2 super. He said, do you think Dak would take less? I believe he would, honestly. I honestly believe he would. No lie. Because he understands that he need weapons. And I think right now all Dak could be looking for is the commitment. I think Dak could be like, man, just let me know you ain't gonna leave me, bro. Okay. This one right here, Mike Evans for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another starting quarterback in Tampa. Another 1,000-yard season for Mike Evans. The record-setting 10th straight season to start a career with 1,000 yards is one thing, but an 83.9 receiving grade with a double-digit touchdown for the 3rd time in 4 years is extraordinary. Evans free agent will be tricky, and he has a wide range of outcomes with nagging soft tissue injuries seemingly bothering him weekly for years now. There could also be sticker shock with recent outcomes of 30-plus-year-old receivers. Nonetheless, there is no reason he should be asked for less than the recent crop of players, including Devontae Adams, who effectively signed a 3-year, $67.7 million contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. So basically, listen here, sir. Mike Evans is a top receiver, and his projected contract will be $69 million. That's $23 million a year, $52.5 million total guaranteed. Do you think the Joneses is finna sign that deal?
Don't work, I'm back.
My bad.
Trap.
What's the likelihood of the Joneses signing that deal? It's not happening with CeeDee Lamb on the other side. I'm just making the case to show you why we must sign a big-time wide receiver in the draft. Well, why we should draft one opposed to trying to get one in free agency. You got Marquise Brown right here, Hollywood Brown. The Ravens traded Brown and a third-round pick to the Cardinals for 2022 first-round pick, and his time in Arizona has been a journey, to say the least. Between his own injuries and Kyler Murray's torn ACL, the former college teammates haven't been able to team up as much as the old regime probably hoped. But he has flashed when in the lineup. It's hard to come up with a solid comparable player with 5'9", 180-pound outside receiver, although the NFL is adding more of the archetype each year. And it's also fair to wonder how badly Arizona wants to extend anyone given their timeline and the emergence of rookie wide receiver Michael Wilson. So, hey, man, Marquise Brown, they say he's projected for a one-year deal, $12 million, fully guaranteed. That's maybe an option, but how far does Hollywood Brown move the needle? I like his speed. I think he's a good player, but how far does he move the needle? So this is another reason, hey, you got some potential superstars that's at a discounted price in the draft. Now, it's more risky, but it still might be your most likely outcome for the Cowboys, man. I really feel like that. Okay, you got players like Calvin Ridley. Let's see, Calvin Ridley, they got him projected as a franchise tag, so it really ain't even no need to talk about him. They just signed him after he got put out the league for gambling and stuff. So it really ain't too much reason to talk about him because they probably gonna franchise tag him and we won't even have an opportunity to get him. But outside of that, it ain't even really more players. You got Odell Beckham. They got him projected for a 1 year, $10 million, fully guaranteed. Who want to take Odell out for dinner again, though?
Trap.
Ain't nobody got time to take Odell Beckham out for dinner again. Like, hey, man, listen. We tried, and we failed. You failed. I don't know how great of a year he had. I think Baltimore doing well with him, but I don't see us trying to go back to no Odell Beckham either. So it is what it is. But let's see. They got Tyler Boyd, another Cincinnati wide receiver, and his contract projection is 2 years, $17.5 million. That's $8.75. That's $8.75 million a year. $10.75 million total guaranteed. So you can. That's pretty much Michael Gallup salary right there.
Trap.
Now you do got to take this stuff with a grain of salt because Michael Gallup making $9 million. So if you cut Michael Gallup, you'll get $9 million. So you can put that $9 million towards the wide receiver salary that you're trying to get. So okay, that Tyler Boyd, it depends on how you feel like he'll move the needle on this team, but that's actually doable with his $8 million a year. That's doable. So hey, I don't know if that's gonna move the needle a lot for you, but you know what I'm saying? I just don't think so. And like we said, they will be clearance shopping as well, Asher Pie. So I don't trust them as much in free agency when it comes to a big caliber player like that. So I'd rather just take my chances. Hopefully they go draft a first round wide receiver and it work out. That's probably our best scenario for this team. Or they get a steal of a wide receiver in the second and he's supposed to be in a first round and he's just a great player. And it need to be instant impact. But Dak definitely need a wide receiver 2 ASAP. He need a wide receiver 2 ASAP. So if I could go draft me a top tier wide receiver in the draft, I think that'll work out. That'll work wonders for us. But let's continue and ride this thing on out. I just showed y'all Tyler Boyd, and it's the last slide. Shout out to Joel Corey. Jeff Kavanaugh asked him, can you help me help me out, Joey Curl. The restructure option I see on over the cap for Dak is something he would need to agree to or just a build-in switch. And it says the Cowboys can use Dak Prescott existing voiding / damage 2025 and 2026 contract years to restructure his contract. He would have to agree to add fake 2027 and 28 years with a max restructure. Dallas would have 52.38 million of 2025 dead money if Dak walked the after 2024 season. That's still a lot. So it really ain't no way you can leave Dak Prescott at these days. That's a wild scenario if we did something like that. But most of the ways that we can leave this team or Dak or move on from Dak is just outrageous and outlandish. And to be honest, if you want to win right now, we might have to try to stay with him. If you got patience to rebuild, then we can start talking about moving on from Dak Prescott. But I don't think Cowboy Nation ready for that rebuild life. I think I can handle it, but I don't know if Cowboy Nation ready for that. We've been so close each year. We getting better and better, or we got a at least solid, consistent team. So I'm not too sure if Cowboy Nation really about that rebuild life, but we gonna have to stick with that, y'all. It's a must. But I think it was interesting to see what Mike Lombardi was talking about, the talent fallacy, because I really do think some of these players is not as good as we say they are, or they get way more accolades than they probably should, and we got way more voids in this offense and defense than we think we do. Like, we know this offensive line been patchwork. We know Terrence Steele we know Terrence Steele be struggling to block anything, you know what I'm saying? We know that. So for the people that just say blanket statements like this offensive line is good, we know we really can't say this offensive line is just good like that. So we do got some problems that we need to fix, man. Some real major issues that we need to address. And that's the only thing I can say, man, about us moving forward with this current regime. We have Dak and Mike and Dan. We need to just weapon up and fix the holes with some legitimate answers and run it back. That's what it look like we're going to have to do, y'all. So it is what it is, man. But you already know why them haters hate on us. Because why? Because we are the greatest. That's why, man. Shout out to everybody rocking. We definitely doing spin back game today. Make sure y'all tap in. We got a show with ATM and West Coast right back. So y'all show love.
And this is greatness defined. Every line is divine. Verses boggle your mind. And every song, man, I swear it just get better with time. No matter how much shade they throwing, I still manage to shine. I don't know why they so obsessed with mine. I'm all they think about. Go in their house, they probably got my pics in the shrine. Damn, I never let these play me. They see us ballin', now they wanna switch teams like KD. I know my time coming, I guess I'ma wait and see. I'm too cocky and confident that humble ain't for me, Lord. Help me with my egotistical ways, but I'm amazed how they display such miserable hate. I never paid attention to what most to say. Their words are unemployed like prepositional phrase. They wanna see me crash and burn in a ridiculous blaze, but yet I rise like the phoenix. Show these people I'm great enough. Yeah, I know these haters can't stand me. Well, take a seat, I do it for the family. So bring the block to the Grammys, and if you try to stop me, you need a plan B. Yeah, I just do it for the real. If you ain't from the bottom, you ain't get how I feel. To go against the odds, go hard, chase meals, and doubters till you make it. Show 'em all you the greatest. I'm the great young poet, got flow flowing, it's mind blowing. I'm flamboyant when brainstorming, it's fair warning. For my opponents that will be mourning before the morning. Every beat I eat and destroy it, that's what the fans want it. The hot topic, you try to copy, that's hard stopping. Yeah, I'm a giant when rhyming and y'all microscopic. I got them watching and they believe in me like a prophet. Cause the pics I'm cropping be masterpieces, they photoshopping. I'm from the bottom, assembled by the avenue. So I gotta pay homage to the hood to show my gratitude. And then my attitude is similar to an animal. These niggas ain't half as cool, I got different levels to tap into. I am the truth. You should know that I kill it. These are God level lyrics. I should be on Mount Olympus. My music therapeutic to the real spirit, like it came from ancient Kemet. Ain't nobody with me, I'm the great. Yeah, I know these haters can't stand me. Well, take a seat, I do it for the family. So bring the block to the Grammys, and if you try to stop me, you need a plan B. I just do it for the real. If you ain't from the bottom, you ain't get how I feel. To go against the odds, go hard, chase meals, let the doubters see you make it. Show them all you the greatest, I'm the greatest.
Not only am I the greatest, we are the greatest. You know them haters hate us because they ain't us. You know them haters want to try to suppress our success, but nevertheless, we pass every single test with flying colors like no other. And like I say, 1K, one love, Cowboys Nation. Let's go.